Well, good morning and welcome to what was going to be a live webinar on avoiding late paying companies and now is a recording. I am going to present the slides we were going to show on our webinar. I hope they answer all of your questions. If they don't, please just send me a note at the end or give me a call and I will answer any questions that you have. So I will get into the presentation itself. The purpose of today is really to introduce you to the new partnership that we have um, between Good Business Pays and Company Watch. Firstly, to let you know the mission or who is Good Business Pays. Our mission is that we're a social movement. We have been set up. I set up Good Business Pays about 4 years ago to bring an end to late and slow payments to small businesses, to bring that to the top of the national agenda. And what that means is we encourage supporters from right across the board, whether that be business, community, government, or the country as a whole, to campaign for change in terms of reducing slow and late payment to small businesses. We do that in four ways. We provide free stuff to small businesses to help them avoid late paying issues. We try to influence a faster payment culture and faster payment by businesses to other businesses. And we also try to influence a reduction in slow payment and late payment by businesses to other businesses. As you'll see on this slide, it's a problem that's existed in this country for over 50 years, and we're one of the worst in this area across Europe. And we try to campaign for change across all political parties. We do it in three different ways. We collect data. There's an awful lot of data out there on payment performance. We collect it from government sources, from industry sources, from public sector sources, from annual reports. We get all of that data in. We turn it into what we hope is interesting insights through charts and thought leadership and reports, basically using the data to tell a story. And the third thing we want to do is we want to engage people through various different campaigns and channels and things like this in terms of using those insights to create a culture change in business. Here's an example of how we do it. So taking the data from, in this case, government sources on how big companies report. It's quite complicated and difficult to get hold of and difficult to understand unless you're an accountant at least. So we take a live feed from the government data, the duty to report data. And if you type into our website the name of a big company, it brings up for you their payment performance in terms of the number of days they take to pay on average their invoices, the percentage of invoices they pay late, all sorts of other interesting stuff, but done in a fun way, an easy way, a bit like a car dashboard. The other example, and there are many others, but another example on the right-hand side is we do industry charts, so you can see by industry sector who are the worst and who are the best performers in each industry. In this case, the dark green bars represent the worst payers in the industry, and the light green ones the best payers in the industry. You can only find that kind of sector data, sector-based data, on goodbusinesspays.com, and as I said, it's all there for free. We also try to visualize what we mean by payment culture so that it's easier for people to understand what good and bad looks like. So we have 7 years of data now on payment performance. And this chart here shows a stacked bar chart of three colors: green, orange, red. In this case, anything you see that is green is the percentage of invoices paid in under 30 days. So that in our world is good, it's paying fast. In orange is 31 to 59 days, and red would be over 60 days. And then what we do is we put companies that are in similar markets doing similar things side by side so that you can see over time how they behave. So on the right-hand side, you can see two water companies, United Utilities, supplying water utilities in the Northwest, paying well with lots of green, and Yorkshire Water, the other side of the Pennines, behaving quite differently. And on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see two players in the retail market: Joe Malone, the fashion organization, paying very fast, and ASOS paying very slow. ASOS, of course, also being a technology-based retailer, So you would think they'd pay fast, but no is the answer there. Company Watch is one of the country's leading financial risk management companies. They've been around 25 years. They are the financial risk company that lots of organizations use when they're doing things like mergers and acquisitions, due diligence around finance and procurement. We've teamed up with Company Watch to provide not just payment performance data, but risk management data. And we started to talk to Company Watch about a year ago when Good Business Pays came up with a report called Who Cares, which you can download from our website. One of the things that I was interested in was companies that had gone bust, companies that had gone into financial problems and eventually gone into administration. We wanted to look at their payment performance in the 3 or 4 years prior to them actually going bust, a bit like sort of pulling the black box out of the sea when a plane's crashed into the sea. So that's what we did. We looked at about 20 companies that had done exactly that, and we looked at their payment performance, and we saw that in the prior sort of 3 or 4 years to actually crashing into the sea, if you want to use that analogy, those companies were paying much more, much slower. Their payment terms were much worse than their competitors who still exist today. And that got us quite interested in this idea that payment performance is an indicator of broader financial risk. And if we could team up with an organization that looked at broader financial risk, would we see a correlation between those two? If we did, then we'd be able to provide better insight, not only about payment performance, but risk management in general to help people understand whether they should be working with companies or not. So we looked at Company Watch, we talked to them, and indeed you'll see what we found was quite interesting. So just to give you a little bit of an example of the companies that we analyzed that started off this idea of linking up with Company Watch, here's a chart showing Evans, the Evans Retail, DH Evans. You would have seen them on the high street for many years. Their payment performance, as you can see on this chart, this is number of days to pay, was much, much worse than their competitors at Primark and Next and River Island, Boohoo and M&S. Evans were paying in around 65 days. You can see back in 2018, they got a little bit better, but as they started to fail, you can see a hockey stick jump where their payment terms went up to 95 days almost, and then they went into administration, or their parent company, Arcadia, did, which caused them to fail. So Evans was an immediate example. Miss Selfridge, another Arcadia subsidiary, but the same kind of, but run as a separate business and the same kind of payment terms, above 60 days, well above their competitors down the bottom at Primark and Boohoo and Next, etc. And then getting worse towards the end as they crashed into the sea, I suppose, to use that analogy. Here's an example of one company that gets worse and worse and then fails. That's Joules, the fashion brand. Started off very well in 2017 at 27 days to pay. And it got gradually worse and worse and worse as they got into more financial trouble, ending up at somewhere like 65 days when they went into administration in January 22. Same pattern over and over again. Not just in fashion retail. McColl's is a chain of small grocery shops, the sort of shops where you just go in and buy a newspaper and buy a little bit of shopping. There were lots of McColl's about, but you can see back in 2018, they were paying in roughly 50 days. Interestingly, roughly the same as at Spar at that point. McColl's got worse and worse, and then they stopped entering their reports. They stopped actually doing their financial reporting in 2019, and then went into administration in May 22. Spar, interestingly, who took great efforts to improve their payment performance, went straight down to 30 days in 2019, and they're still, of course, going strong. So you can see McColl's is another example. From the aviation business, we see the same kind of behavior in Flybe, who were well above the other airlines in their particular sector, paying slower, and entered administration in 2023. And the final example, Midas Construction. Lots of people in the Southwest where I live will know Midas Construction. paying slower, much slower than their competitors. Interestingly, in construction, construction has tried to get better in terms of payment terms this last few years. Midas was going in the other direction, ended up in administration in February 22, leaving many, many suppliers and people in the supply chain in trouble. So all of these examples, and there are many more, they all follow the same pattern, led us towards thinking about using Company Watch to illustrate, companies that might be in trouble today, heading towards the sea, if you like, but not quite there yet. And I just wanted to show you today the how we use that data and how to find the information, hopefully that you're looking for or looking up. And so this is the front page of our website. I'm just going to take you through how to find the information and what's on there. And we're going to use the example of Superdry to go through this, because Superdry, I suppose if you were to read the newspapers, you'd say they were one of those problem companies at the moment. So you go to the front page and there's a box that says, how long do your customers take to pay? You type in Superdry. The next screen that you see is a single blue line that says, is this the company that you're looking for? Quite often companies will have many companies they report through, and all companies that they report through will be listed here, but Superdry PLC is the one that we're after. When you click on that, you get a whole bunch of details. The first thing that you see is the company details, their registered office, sector as they describe themselves, the company number to make sure it's the right company. And at the top, you'll see the payment reporting period. So this is the period for which the data you're going to see relies on. 1st of November 22 to 1st of May 23. That's so the figures that you'll see are how long it took to pay them during that period. And you'll see the performance report in this case with Superdry, not brilliant at all. So they're taking 53 days on average to pay, which is not good in the first place. You'll see it enters the red zone, which is how bad are they versus their competitors. And you'll see that they're paying 90% of their invoices late. These are already flags, red flags for us to say, here's a company that is not doing an ideal job. You'll also see there a little bit further down the page, their standard terms. So if you're going to talk to them or you wanted to talk to them about typical payment terms and what have you, you can see not only what payment terms they say they offer, and they say they offer quite good payment terms, obviously 14 days minimum standard, but they don't deliver that, I'm afraid. And you'll also see the percentage of invoices paid under 30 days, 31 to 60 and over 60, as I mentioned before. So lots of really good information, detailed information there on payment performance. And this is the bit that we've added that you'll see on every chart. This is the Company Watch risk profile. Now, Company Watch has a whole load of factors that it takes into account when it gives a company a risk rating that go beyond payment performance. So it's looking at risk in a much broader way than we do in terms of payment performance. But you'll see that this is a very interesting chart, because the lowest risk score would be 0, the highest would be 10. When something goes between 7.5 and 10, we put it into a warning zone. That's the pink area. And you'll see that according to Company Watch from April 2019, Superdry zipped up into the warning area up to around 10, came back down to about 9 or something, and has gone back up to 10 in terms of the risk level. And at the top, you'll see some interesting figures. Normally, all 4 figures are there for you to see. The 1 year is a prediction of distress, the likelihood that this company will go into administration within the next 12 months, 17.5%, say Company Watch. The risk rating is 10, which is the highest you can get. And they haven't even given it a credit limit or a contract limit at the moment. So you'd be wondering whether you wanted to do business at the moment as a supplier for Superdry. So very powerful information that not only links payment performance, whether it's percentage late or number of days, with broader risk profiling, which is much more up to date, because those dates you'll see down the bottom relate to when the company files its reports, etc. So what you're doing is you're taking payment data from us and from government sources and risk data from all the Company Watch data, putting it on the same page and getting a much richer picture of the risk rating of a company. That's how we have looked at Superdry. And just by the way, in case you thought it was all being made up, we did a quick search on Superdry News, and you can see that in all of the main newspapers, you can see that Superdry. This is in, I suppose, the risk figure brought to life in real news. This is what's really going on behind. So this gives you a very good indicator as to whether you should be looking into what's going on in the company, what's going on with the directors, etc. So that's it. Thank you for joining. And I'm sorry to those people who couldn't get on to the StreamYard webinar this morning. I hope this recording has been useful for you. We're going to put this onto our Good Business Pays TV channel as well, so others can see it and go back to it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below or send me an email, terry@goodbusinesspays.com. Thank you for watching.